The single most powerful skill that separates broke people from truly wealthy ones isn't raw intelligence, some lucky lottery ticket, or even secret connections. It's mastering the psychology of money and refusing to let a scarcity mindset call the shots. I know this firsthand because I went from being 100 pounds overweight, flat broke, and arrested 6 times to building companies valued at hundreds of billions. And trust me, it wasn't because I'm some uniquely gifted genius. I'm no different from you. The only real difference is that I finally stopped letting my old broke person programming run my life. If you're serious about building lasting wealth, the first step is dismantling the subconscious money scripts that silently sabotage most people's finances, scripts you didn't even write yourself but absorb in childhood, long before you understood what money really was. And yes, this is backed by actual research from financial psychologists who've identified 4 main types that reliably predict financial outcomes. As I walk you through them, honestly ask yourself which one or combination has been quietly steering your decisions, like what jobs you accept, how much you charge for your work, or even how guilty you feel spending on something nice. First, there's the money avoider, who deep down believes money is inherently bad or that they don't deserve it, so they self-sabotage success, gravitate toward low-paying, helping professions, and feel guilty for wanting more. If you grew up hearing rich people are greedy or money is the root of all evil, congratulations, you might be in this club. Then we have the money worshippers, who are convinced that more cash will finally fix everything and bring lasting happiness, so they chase it obsessively yet never feel satisfied, hoarding and prioritizing work over relationships while perpetually moving the goalposts. Oh, just 1 more million and I'll be happy. Yeah, because that's totally how it works. Sarcastic eye roll. And finally, the money status seekers, who tie their entire self-worth to their net worth, overspending to keep up appearances, hiding their real finances even from spouses, and feeling constant anxiety whenever someone else has a nicer car or bigger yard. Classic, keeping up with the Joneses syndrome, where your neighbor's lawn somehow becomes your personal crisis. Research actually shows that the money status script is strongly linked to lower overall well-being and higher levels of unhappiness because you're trapped in an endless cycle of comparison, always measuring your worth against someone else's highlight reel, which is about as fun as it sounds. Sarcastic nod to anyone who's ever felt inferior over a neighbor's new Tesla. Then there's the fourth and final type, money-vigilant people, the chronic ultrasavers who live well below their means yet carry constant, gnawing anxiety about their financial future. They're often secretive about money matters, rarely splurge even when they objectively have plenty, and never truly feel secure no matter how fat the bank account gets. As you listen to these 4 scripts, avoider, worshipper, status, and vigilant, take a moment to honestly reflect on which one, or mix, resonates most with you and how it might have shaped your choices growing up, because identifying it is the first step to breaking free. For me personally, I'm overwhelmingly money vigilant, which might surprise you looking at the jewelry, makeup, and styled hair. I'm being completely transparent here. I spend a tiny fraction of what I actually have, to the point that even when my net worth hit $100 million, I couldn't bring myself to drop more than a couple million on a house, and instead rented for 3 full years because that deep-seated fear of, what if it all disappears, never fully goes away. Alex knows this about me all too well. It's a tough habit to shake, but whenever business slows for a month or 2, even though it doesn't touch my personal finances since I don't pull money out, I instinctively tighten the belt, stop browsing for anything fun, tell myself and everyone around me we don't need that, and start slashing expenses across the board like we're suddenly broke again. I finally recognized it as an old pattern from my past that no longer served me, so lately I've been deliberately doing the opposite. When that urge to clamp down hits, I force myself to spend more. Maybe not the healthiest rebound behavior, but it's my way of retraining my brain to realize the fear is irrational. The evidence proves we're secure, and those internal alarms have zero connection to external reality. So here's your action step. Pause and recall the money phrases drilled into you as a kid. Money doesn't grow on trees. Be grateful for what you have. Rich people are greedy. Because those aren't universal truths or helpful lessons. They're just someone else's limiting beliefs that got hard-coded into your subconscious, quietly dictating every financial decision from the jobs you accept and rates you charge to what you believe you deserve, how freely you spend, and whether money triggers. excitement, or anxiety in your life. So here's the practical way to start rewiring your brain for a healthier relationship with money. Grab a pen and paper right now and jot down your very earliest memory of money. What did your parents or caregivers say about it? How did they handle it, with stress, secrecy, generosity, or fear? Because that moment almost certainly planted the seeds of your current money script. And simply seeing it clearly is the first step to overriding it with something empowering, like money is a tool that creates freedom, security, and the ability to help more people, which instantly strips away a ton of the emotional baggage and starts aligning your daily behaviors with abundance instead of scarcity. The second major limiting belief that keeps so many people stuck is what I call the wealth ceiling, the invisible cap you unconsciously enforce on your income based on how you see yourself. Because if your internal identity screams, "I'm someone who scrapes by on $50,000 opportunities," you'll mysteriously sabotage anything bigger, like turning down a $200,000 deal or finding creative ways to blow the extra cash the moment it shows up. Oh, look, another emergency expense. How convenient, right? Research on self-concept confirms this. It works like a thermostat, relentlessly pulling you back to whatever financial temperature you've set. If you identify as a $100,000 earner, you'll hustle to stay there, stress spend your way down if you dip below, or impulsively overspend if you temporarily jump above, all without realizing it. For years, I was trapped in exactly this. My identity was scrappy survivor getting by, so even when I logically knew I could earn more than my first $85,000 job, I'd funnel any extra into competition fees or get paralyzed by, "What if I mess this up?" Fears right before a breakthrough, subconsciously regulating myself back to familiar struggle. The fix is beautifully simple but powerful. Write down, "I'm the kind of person who," and complete it honestly with your current financial self-image. I overspend, I hoard anxiously, I never feel secure, whatever it is. Then draw a line down the page, and on the other side write, "I'm the kind of person who builds and manages wealth with ease." You don't have to believe it yet, feel it yet, or even act on it fully. Just write it without cringing, and every single time you face a money decision, pull out that paper and read the new side, because consistently exposing your brain to this expanded identity will gradually stretch your self-image, and as that thermostat resets higher, your actual income and opportunities will naturally rise to match it. The third major limiting belief that keeps so many people trapped in financial mediocrity is the ingrained habit of prioritizing liabilities over assets, or worse, not even knowing the difference, because from a young age, most of us are programmed to consume rather than build, which is exactly why breaking this cycle is a game changer, as Robert Kiyosaki so bluntly put it in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the first money books that blew my mind. The rich acquire assets that put money in their pockets, while the middle class piles up liabilities they mistakenly call assets, forever wondering why wealth feels out of reach. It's deceptively simple. An asset generates income or appreciates. A liability drains your wallet with ongoing costs, and yet people spend lifetimes asking, "Can I afford this?" instead of, "Will this pay me back with a return?" Think about it. Your daily driver car is a classic liability. Depreciates the second you drive it off the lot, plus gas, insurance, maintenance, fun times. Your primary home is too: mortgage, taxes, repairs, no rental income. Sorry, homeowners, I know this one stings like calling your beloved pet rock an investment. While a skill-building course is a true asset, it boosts your earning power long-term. A rental property is an obvious winner. Monthly cash flow. Business equipment counts if you actually use it to generate revenue. Otherwise, it's just expensive dust-collecting decor. And yes, even that coveted designer handbag is sadly a liability, depreciates, zero income, unless it starts vending coffee on the side, in which case call me. Once I started ruthlessly filtering every purchase through this lens, asset or liability, my wealth began compounding fast, because I realized idle cash in a bank account is essentially a slow-motion liability thanks to inflation, pushing me to invest in income-producing skills, businesses, and real assets instead. Here's your simple starter action. Pull up your last 10 purchases, label each one honestly as asset or liability, then commit to pausing before every future buy to ask, "Does this eventually put money in my pocket, or just take it out?" The fourth and arguably toughest belief to shatter is the scarcity mindset, which I still catch myself slipping into in the weirdest ways. It literally makes you dumber by shrinking your cognitive bandwidth, forcing short-term survival thinking and worse decisions whenever you perceive resources as limited, even when they're not, because evolution wired us for scarcity. Back when berries were finite and your neighbor hoarding them meant your family might starve, but applying that ancient fear to modern money, which is literally created every single day and infinitely renewable, is like using a caveman club to fight a drone war. Scarcity screams, there's never enough. Protect what you have. Someone else's win is my loss, leading people to hoard cash, avoid investing, view opportunities as threats, and obsess over immediate survival. While an abundance mindset flips the script to, there's always more to create. I can invest freely. Risks are calculated bets in an infinite pie. And for me, the real shift happened after years of terror around spending on anything that improved my life or business. What if the money stops forever? Until I finally internalized that skills, relationships, and smart investments compound exponentially, returning tenfold or more the moment you lean into abundance instead of clutching scarcity like a security blanket.